Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Tub Takes. This is a weekly video podcast where we talk about the latest and greatest happenings in VGC, and I'm joined by three special guests. I am joined first and foremost by Lex. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm happy to be on. It's my first time on Tub Takes, and second time, I guess, on the channel because I did the team report, and I am excited to talk about Regulation D.
Yeah. You, of course, qualified for Worlds after your first event in a long time. You ready for Worlds? You got your Reg D down and practicing?
I definitely have been playing the format. There are a lot of new Pokemon, and I'm not familiar with any of them, or I wasn't prior here because Scarlet and Violet was my first format. So I have a Pokemon I like, I have Pokemon I don't like. We're slowly but surely going to get there, and hopefully with the builder group, we'll come up with something that hopefully I can get to day 2 with Worlds in, because that's my goal, just to get past day 1.
All right, well, no pressure, but I do have a countdown clock on stream telling you exactly when day 1 World starts, so just and we, of course, got the mainstay, basically my co-host at this point. We got Nails. How you doing?
Ready here, ready in the fill in last minute. It's gonna be great.
You might notice Alex in chat. He is busy packing, and so we got Nails to sub in. And then of course we got the player who just top cut the first major Regulation D tournament. We got Devon. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. Excited to be here for my inaugural time on Tub Takes. Disappointed I was not given a tub for the occasion, but we'll be working on that in the future.
Yeah, next time for sure.
Yeah, next time. Yeah, that's the goal.
And do you want me? Are you going to Worlds?
No, not this year. I just had a child, so it was not in the cards. But next year, guys.
That's awesome. Congrats.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So, as we mentioned, Regulation D is upon us. Last week we talked about what happened at the North American Championships, and y'all did not watch that video. It got like 3 views on my channel. It's crazy. No one. It's legitimately like as soon as everyone got knocked out of NAIC, just like that format just died to me, and I think to like everyone else. And so onwards and upwards, we're going to be mostly focusing on Regulation D in this, and we want to answer your questions. So feel free to fire them off in chat. And of course, if you are new here or whatever, and you missed part of this podcast, it will be up on YouTube on Wednesday. You can find it on my YouTube channel, which is posted in chat as well. And so with that, I guess we try to go through news first. And so I guess the news for today that just happened, I don't know if there's other stuff that happened this week I just missed, but like the big news that I got was the email inviting me and everyone else to the World Championships this year. And so Lex, I assume you got this email too, is just saying, hey, congrats on qualifying. It also does confirm the one other... Whoa, Nails, where did you come from? That was crazy. That was a jump scare, for real. It also does confirm that there are going to be 2 Spectator Passes with your entry kit. That was something that was we heard varying information about, and so we do have confirmation that there are going to be 2 Spectator Passes leading up to... When you qualify for Worlds, you get 2 Spectator Passes, is what I'm going to say. So, any comments?
Yeah, that's covering part of my flight.
Mm-hmm.
That's a win.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
So that is the topic that I wanted to bring up with respect to that is, one, I think we normally only got 1 Spectator Pass. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But 2, like there always has been a market for a secondary market for Spectator Passes. I know that I've sold my Spectator Passes in the past after receiving them. But usually they aren't worth very much. Usually, I'd sell them for like $20. And they go for like $20 normally if you just buy them. So it's not like you're just making your money back. But this year, there's been a huge shortage that institute a lottery to get Spectator Passes for Worlds. And so I do see a lot of players like Nails, like Feist, who I have on screen, who are selling their Spectator Passes. And I honestly have no idea how much they're worth. I've heard some crazy numbers. I've also heard some relatively small numbers. I guess it's kind of whatever it's worth to the person. But that is a thing that's happening, just so you're aware. If you qualify for Worlds, your Spectator Passes might be worth something.
I have not actually sold them, but one of them has been called for by a friend, and Yeah, I have the other one. So yeah, I mean, I guess my DMs are open, but like, yeah, just they're they're valuable. They're a valuable commodity, I guess. This is all new to us. Like, similar to the Champions Festivals in the World Big. They're just all of a sudden they're worth something, and they weren't before this year, and so just changes the economics of attending Worlds where uh, at the very least, if you're willing to part with your competitor bag, you can just cover the trip, and it's honestly a lot healthier for the players. Being like it effectively is just subsidizing the trip, and uh, I think that's good for the scene to have everyone who gets a day one Worlds invite um, be able to. It might not completely cover the cost of the trip, but it helps to defray the cost significantly. Like if you sell your spectator passes for like a couple $100, your champions festivals for like $1,500, that's most of a flight and a trip for people from most of the world. So yeah. People in the world in the past, you didn't before we, I guess, knew that um the kits were worth this much money, or I guess the price has definitely gone up. So yeah, it's just um should make for a better tournament. Since it helps people get to the tournament.
Yeah. Like for context, I sold my Champions Festivals. I've sold them for as little as like $100 in the past because they weren't worth that much and no one realized how much they were worth. To all the way, I think I sold my latest ones, my 2022 ones, for $1,500 on eBay. They're really easy to do, and it really does it really does compensate you for your trip. Basically, like you are basically, I don't know, like I think my flight's going to cost like $1,200 total round trip. Everything else, maybe $600. Even if I go on a shopping spree, it's like not going to be that much more. That is all covered for by basically just the cards that you get for attending, on top of spectator passes, on top of the backpack, on top of all that stuff. Most of which I will be keeping, but that is just something to keep in mind when you go to these events. Is that especially if you are on a budget, all the stuff that you get has value. This is me yelling specifically at Abai, who went to NAIC, got the you get a token when you go there, and then you exchange that for a bag. And he went there, he gave the person their token, looked inside the bag, said, "I don't want this," and gave it back to them. And then, you can everything that you get these Pokemon events, these big Pokemon events, are worth something. Like I know Alberto, at least at the event at NAIC, was buying some number of people's bags for $75, and that's just like that's your entry cost. Just keep that in mind when you go to Pokemon tournaments, that everything is worth something, and if you don't want to keep it, you should be able to flip it to someone who is interested. You don't have to make crazy amounts of profit. If nothing else, you are getting someone something that they want at a reasonable price, and hopefully compensating yourself for the expenses of going to Japan or going to NAIC or whatever.
Yeah, just like if you're in the area, it's pretty low commitment to just get your swag bag and have that cover the entry fee, and play for fun and hang out and enjoy a Pokemon convention. It's cool that the secondary market is a thing now.
Yeah, and I think that's a way to. We've talked about this in the past on the channel. We talked about pricing and how a lot of the pricing that you get for doing well at Pokemon is it's better than some games for sure. It is not really that much, and one way that I think that they can improve that without giving away these massive financial awards is by giving away more exclusive merchandise that you can only get for doing well at a regional, for doing well at an internets, for doing well at Worlds. I mean, Worlds already, you have so much of this stuff, but for doing well at a regional, doing well for internets, if you just got, even just a trading card that says you got top 32, you made day 2 at an internet, or an internets, or even a regional, right? That is going to be worth like $30-$40 to someone, at the very least, maybe more. And so that is just a way that I think that we in general could also continue to increase pricing for events that I do think we really need, given these bigger events.
Yeah, I mean, the raw cash payouts also should just be increased, but
Please.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
that's a secondary issue.
Yeah.
I completely agree. I when I played back in the TCG, I remember right when I stopped, they actually increased it. So it's like, okay, great. I missed out on the they increased the first time, and then when I came back, now I'm playing VGC, and now I'm like, wow, why don't we get as much money as the TCG? So I definitely second increase the price pool. That is a hill that I've been on for a very long time.
Like the kickers are not supposed to stop at 200 when we're hitting 500, 700 player regionals. Like it's,
Plus, yeah.
but yeah.
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the announcement for today. I've been thinking about this. I haven't brought it up to anyone, but I guess now might be as good a time as ever. I imagine that a lot of the people who want to buy spectator passes and didn't get them live in Japan, right? And not a lot of people are flying in from other countries and not qualified for Worlds. There are certainly a few, but not a ton. And I'm just curious if there's like Japanese players watching this, Asian players who are watching this, people who are well connected in Japan who want to like set something up to hook people up who need spectator passes in Japan versus people who are coming from other countries who don't need them. I haven't figured out what I'm doing with mine. There may or may not be people who need them, who I'm friends with, but a lot of the times, like I'm just trying to offload them because I'm going to Japan alone, right? So I don't need my 2 spectator passes. I'm definitely interested in getting rid of them as well. So I think it'd be really cool to see this sort of a collaboration between these 2 communities.
Yeah. Yeah, there are a decent amount of Western players who just have extra spectator passes. So,
And I don't want to see.
On it, like straight up, hit up my DMs, and I'd be willing to organize something.
Yeah.
Like, if you're
Like I don't want Japanese players or Japanese spectators to be paying $500 for a spectator pass because the rest, like some American players and some European players, don't know how to sell them and don't know how to get in touch with them. I think that there's some sort of system that would really help with that. That'd be great. So that has to be a grassroots effort.
Yep.
Lex, you're going to Japan, right?
Yeah, I am. Oh, that's correct. Yes, I am going to Japan. I'm using my spectator passes for my family, because my mom is already in the community because she judges TCG, and then might as well bring my dad because he likes to go to Japan. So they're coming with me, and I mean, I'm just treating it mostly as like, I get to go to Worlds, and like I'm in Japan if I don't make it past day 1. So, yeah, no, I definitely think that I agree there should be a good system set up for people to get in contact with more local players and sell their spectator passes. I personally, the last time I went to a Worlds was 2015, so this is kind of newer to me. This whole system and now the lotteries especially new when it comes to even getting them. So I was very glad that I just got them for qualifying, because it was kind of like a rush of like, I qualified, but can I even bring my family with me? It's like, I can bring my family with me. So it's kind of like I never left.
Right.
So, yeah, I went from playing in Pokemon qualifying for Worlds to playing in Pokemon and qualifying for Worlds. So I am excited to play in Japan and see everyone else there.
Yeah. I'm excited to see everyone else there too. It's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, like I said, I had the timer up. It's less than a month away from day 1. And I think most of us are going there a little early to enjoy Japan, be tourists for a little bit, and also get acclimated and not get jet lagged. So, this countdown clock is so real to me. It's actually kind of scary. We're less than a month away. And so, on that note, let's talk about the Pokemon, the formats themselves. We are moving on to Regulation D, and last week, or in the past few weeks, we've talked about it occasionally on Tub Takes, and the interest has ranged from anywhere from, I've been playing this format a lot, I know what I like, I know what I dislike, to what is an Ursaluna, why does it have so many stats, I've never seen this Pokemon before. So hopefully at this point, everyone here we've had at least a week since NASE, had a week to look at Reg D, maybe get a little bit more acquainted with it. But if you weren't aware, the first really major tournament of Regulation D was held by Victory Road. It was 382 players, top 32 cut after 9 rounds of Swiss. We've got one of the top cutters, second place after Swiss here, and I'm not sure if Lex or Nails, if you guys played in the tournament. No?
I set an alarm and did not forgot to toggle the alarm on my phone. So I didn't wake up in time. So missed out, but it's okay.
That's fair.
But I watched.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And there were a lot of really good players streaming the event too, and so it was really cool to just to get a glimpse into the format. And so yeah, Devon, do you want to tell us about your run and your team because you had one of the coolest teams in Top Cut?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, when I was looking at the new mons that were introduced in Reg D, I think Basket Legion is just like really cool. Has a lot of things going for it. It's got a decent speed stat, especially when you consider the boost from being in rain. It has Wave Crash, which everyone who's played Palafin knows that move is ridiculous. It has Aqua Jet, so priority, and Last Respects is also just a really cool move in best of three play. It's this kind of like interesting mon where it's like bulky enough to sort of pivot around. It's also strong enough to take Okos when you need to. So I just built a rain team around it. And the run it went really really well. I was 8-1 in Swiss. I just lost to Sergio in the last round, who ended up getting top four. And so day one was great. I played Fede Campo, I played Marco, I played Sableye VGC. So those were all really cool games, and I got to see some like interesting teams. Like Sableye was running like Hex Spectrator with Thunderwave Thundy, Prankster Thundy. That was kind of cool, and so yeah, that was neat. And then day two I played a Japanese guy. I think it was Yuya. Yeah, and it was a crazy set, and I also had Gudra, and spoiler alert, my Gudra happened to be Sap Sipper, not Shell Armor, and Yuya took full advantage of that by critting me multiple times in the set. But yeah, it was a cool tournament. I had a lot of fun. Yeah, and I think it's a nice introduction into what the format looks like. You have a lot of these like mons with ridiculous BSTs, just sort of pivoting around the field, taking all the hits. Cristelia is ridiculous because it can like heal your entire team. Amoongus is pollen puffing constantly. But yeah, I think it was interesting. People brought some really interesting teams too. Lots of Dragapult, more dozes than I expected to. So I thought it was a cool first tournament to have happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you? I mean, you had a crazy run again. You said you started out 8-0, guaranteed yourself cut really early, and then you said who'd you lose to? Yuya?
I lost to Sergio in round. Yeah. He was playing I think Victory Road actually streamed his game. He was playing Cress, and Ursaluna Amoongus hands stuff. And for like my team, that's like the matchup is basically if I wave crash the correct slots, I win, and if I don't wave the correct slots, I lose. And he played fantastically. He had ally switch too, so he could sort of play some mind games in the first couple turns as well. So like he just totally rolled over me. Our game one was kind of like close, and then he understood the matchup, and then just destroyed me. And then yeah, I played Yuya, who also got top four. Had really interesting sets. He was running Iron Head AV Dragonites, and his Chen Pao was Icicle Crash because of the influx of Rocky Helmet Amoongus in this format, just to take advantage of lots of hits that are touching an Amoongus, like actually doing damage, especially Surging Strikes. So that was also a really cool team to come out of the tournament.
Yeah. I'll be honest. I woke up on Sunday, checked my phone. It was time for top 16. They had the top 16 bracket up, and I was scrolling through, and I was like, man, every single one of these teams is so boring. It's just like standard stuff. And that was my concern, is that a lot of people were going to be hiding their teams before Worlds and not really showing up with the sauce. But then I scrolled down, and then once they posted this, looked like your team was super cool. Yvonne's team with the Typhlosion was super cool. We had Iron Moth as well. We had a ton of cool teams. A Chestnut in top cut, and all of them lost in top 32, which is really sad. But yeah, definitely a lot to take away from this tournament. Lex, Snails, looking through the standings, do you have any teams that you want to talk about, or Pokemon that you want to talk about?
I have two Pokemon I would like to talk about. Two Pokemon that don't exist anymore. At least they will exist probably eventually, but so staples of Regulation C, Mr. My Child Iron Bundle, and my Pokemon that I hate, Mr. Ting-Lu. There are 0 of them. They have fallen off a cliff. Ting-Lu's committed Ting-Luicide. And Iron Bundle, I think people realized that on ladder everyone was playing Chimpao Dragonite, Well, not everyone, but every
Kind of
match.
everyone. It's
Kind of,
everywhere.
yeah, it's everywhere. And so people realize that Iron Bundle does not love Champion Dragonite as speed control, and they kind of had to just abandon the poor penguin. And I think that shows here in that there were 4 armor regions and no Tinglus and Iron Bundles.
Well, so Ting Lu, like, I'm looking through the usage stats at the bottom of the Victory Road page, and it has the overall usage and then the number in day 2. There are no bundle in day 2 and no Tinglu in day 2, but Tinglu is not a top 30 used Pokemon, right? Bundle had an awful conversion rate. It was on 6% of teams, 23 out of the 300 odd teams, and none of them converted. That is, I mean, other than like you look at Harkonine, you look at Gudra, those are the other 2 Pokemon that really stand out. But like, it has maybe the worst conversion rate out of any Pokemon. Just like did not do well at all, even though it was brought reasonably often, which is the more surprising thing. Tinglu, on the other hand, I think has potential, just isn't being experimented with as much.
Another thing about Bundle that probably has also been contributing it not being as well, not only not doing as well, but not being as popular. Not only not being as popular, but also the fact that it's not doing well, is the fact that Dondozo is significantly worse in Regulation D, and Iron Bundle loves that guy, because at least by the end of Reg C, a lot of them were not running Terra Blast, Terra Grass anymore. They didn't have an effective way to just OHKO the Bundle, and so Bundle could usually always get off 2 freeze strides, which was 60 to 70% of his HP. And so, and that's another big positive running Iron Bundle, is that it really patches up a Dozo matchup. And if you're running less Dozo, it's losing its utility. So, that's.
I want to call out Fluttermane. That guy was used on 57% of teams, and yet was on 80% of the teams in cut, which is like it was the number 1 used mon, and it's heavily overperforming its usage, which is not a very common pattern. Like it's just mind-blowing to have a conversion rate that high when you're the most common Pokemon in the format. If you're wondering whether Flutter was going to slow down in this format, it is not going anywhere. It is. I've seen some takes that it's better than it was in Series 3. I don't know if that's true yet. I'm skeptical. My gut is that it's about as good as it was, but in Reg C, it was you're supposed to use Fluttermane unless you have a reason not to. And in Reg D, it's you're supposed to use Fluttermane unless you have a reason not to. And maybe there's just slightly fewer reasons in this format. I don't know. It still kind of kills everything. The format has to adapt to a lot of different threats, and people just kind of forgot that Fluttermane also needs to be like still your number 1 priority when building a team. It is that important. This is still Flutter's format.
Flutter is here to stay.
Yeah. I don't know the exact item stats on Flutter, but I think you're seeing, at least, so this is for me on ladder. I don't know every single item stat in the Victory Road tournament. You're seeing a lot less Specs Flutter and a lot more Booster Flutter.
Yeah.
Like a lot more Booster Flutter. And I think it's a lot better in this regulation than it was in Regulation C2. Based on
What do you think?
I think that before, like in Reg C, there are a lot less things that like boomed Flutter, and therefore you could get away with running Specs. But now Flutter values Protect more, and also values potentially being the speed control option on teams more as well. That Bundle is not as popular, or Bundle isn't as good, because Flutter is a Ghost type and can sit in front of Dragonite and Chien-Pao. And if it's booster speed, it can clip D-Gleam pretty reliably in front of Dragonite and Chien-Pao, and proc Sash and maybe proc Multiscale, or just hit Dragonite. Whereas with Specs, it was less reliable against it. And so that's my thoughts on booster speed Flutter right now. So that's it's a Bundle that's a Ghost type.
Yeah, I think it also has to do with the fact that Porn is just like this incredibly, strong, reliable tailwind setter. So it allows that a lot of teams get to run sort of like mid-speed stuff, and then you kind of play speed wars. But the thing with Booster Flutter is, if you're having like 180 speed stat plus, like you're still outspeeding like most things, even in tailwind. So being booster speed just still lets you get the advantage in those situations. So yeah, I think that item is really gonna start spiking up. It's gonna be probably the best item on Flutter going forward.
Oh, I for just regards to someone in chat because I said they protect. Yeah, Urshifu breaks protect. There are other.
Do we lose Lex?
We
I think
did
so.
lose Lex. I'll pick up
All
where I
right.
left off. There's a lot of damage flying around this format, and uh, even though Urshifu hits through protect, Flutter's not really scared of Urshifu in general, anyways. And a lot of other Pokemon, it's important to protect against. Just games go faster, and so burning one turn of, say, a field effect like Talon or Trick Room gains a lot more relative value because the opponent is doing more threatening things, and your mons in the back can just get owned more easily by the spooky sweepers. Like Trick Room definitely existed in Reg C, but Indeedee and Armourouge, well, they're still performing okay, I think, in this format. Ursaluna is just a step up in terms of raw power, so that's just an example of a mon that you have to care about more. And it's just gonna one-shot the Flutter instead of not one-shotting the Flutter.
Right.
I do think that if the format slows down, and I do think it will, I think formats, at least in the beginning, start out relatively fast and then slow down up to a point until people figure out the broken offensive combos. I think that's just kind of what we've seen so far. Is I think, and that makes Booster Flutter worse if the format slows down because
I just want
it
to say
doesn't
that
get
I don't
switched in
even
and
think
out.
I don't think that's even been the pattern this year. The formats have generally started out pretty slow, and gotten more offensive as the formats have developed. Like, Palance just took over the start of Reg C, for example. Wolf won the first regional with Parish Song in Reg B, and that's only a meta call into a really defensive format. Like, um, I think it just hasn't been terribly consistent this year of metas
No,
progressing
I agree.
from
I'm
defensive
just
to
thinking about it. The scale in which I'm thinking about it is a little different because I think that we still aren't at the point of Orlando regionals in Regulation
Sure.
D, right? Like this is still before the first tournament of the year, where
Yeah.
Yeah.
defensive stuff has. I wouldn't say it really did super well at Liverpool, but the first tournament of Reg B, the first tournament of Reg C, it did very well. I think Reg C did well. Yeah, it was like all the New Balance teams.
Yeah.
We saw
No, New Balance
Palace, we
comes
saw
a
New
little
Balance,
bit.
we saw that sort of thing.
Yeah. Um,
Uh,
yeah.
and
That's
then slowly over time, we saw the offensive combos in Reg C kind of break open the metagame. Is what I saw happen in Reg C.
yeah. Um, and yeah, for Reg D, just for my money, like it's just been a lot of offensive options that have been taking over early on because the offensive options are really good, and I don't think they're going anywhere.
No, I don't know either, but I
There's
do think
going to
there's a
be
lot of defensive tools.
there are defensive tools. Just they don't match up as well against the offensive tools in this format, I think. We will see. There's a lot of give and take in the format, and I'm not trying to be a doomer and say that everything is going to be hyper offense mirrors, but like I do think the offensive ones are playing with more firepower than they relative to the defensive tools.
All right, here's my disagreement point. Right, obviously Urshifu, definitively an offensive tool. 50%, 47% usage, very very good Pokemon. Only in about a little under or a little over a third of top cut teams. Every other offensive tool we've seen already existed, right? Amoonguss, yeah. Chenpao, yeah. Iron Hands, yeah. Tornadus not so
Iron
much. Tornadus is probably the other one. But I'm looking at the defensive tools. Landorus is a defensive tool
Luna.
that we didn't have earlier. Heatran is, I think, a defensive tool. It plays better on defensive teams. Thunderous is a defensive tool that didn't see a ton of play. Cresselia is a defensive tool. And then yes, we've got Ursaluna, right? But it's like Ursaluna and Urshifu versus like stuff like Crest, Heatran, Rillaboom, that I think are so much stronger. Arcanine, you see, even though it didn't have a great conversion rate, I think there's a lot of new defensive tools that are very, very good and just waiting to be explored.
Potentially valid. Sure.
One thing on Iron Hands, at least, that I've noticed as an HO player myself, given that I immediately replaced the Talonflame on my team with the Tornadus, Iron Hands is actually a lot better well positioned, I think, into HO in the fact that Tornadus cannot Will-O-Wisp it, and that is really annoying. Calcing the little wild charge is really hard, guys. And then Fake Out is just an insane move. So yeah, I think there are a lot of good defensive tools that can probably, hopefully, even out the bet a little bit. And so, yeah.
What do you guys? Where do y'all fall on the Iron Hands versus Urshifu spectrum? Because they're both really good. I don't think it's that easy to include both on the same team, although maybe it is. But you end up being weak to Flutter. We talked about that guy; he's pretty good. And like at the end of the day, it is kind of just more defensive teams lean Iron Hands and offensive teams lean Urshifu. But I've been super impressed by both Rapid Strike Urshifu and Iron Hands, and one of the dilemmas that I've been dealing with is I want both the guys on my team, but I don't get both of them. So.
I mean, just perusing the Top Cut teams from the tour, there was a couple times where people ran both. I think they usually, the Urshifu Rapid Strike has to run like Scarf so that you can get the speed advantage onto something like Flutter in like normal neutral speed conditions. So that's one way to get around that problem. But yeah, both are great. I mean, yeah, both are fantastic. Iron Hands is just like a big ball of stats. It can pivot around. It can, it can trade with like most things in the format if you really want it to. So, yeah, I think you can run both, but yeah, it's a little bit hard to do that for sure.
I
Yeah.
am
All right, have you
definitely-
considered the superior combo of fighting types, Iron Hands Chestnut?
Well, I mean,
Sorry, go ahead.
Uh, I'm definitely in the response to Dale's question. I'm definitely in the Urshifu camp right now. That mon does a lot of damage. It hits to protect. Doesn't care about intimidate. Will-O-Wisp has decreased in usage. That mon's kind of good. I think both are good, personally. Actually, I think the Dark one is being kind of left out right now. Calling Amoongus is cool, man. If you're running bad. That is a very cool calc.
That does sound like
Yeah.
a cool calc.
Oh, it's
Yeah, okay, there were 5 Iron Hands Urshifus in the top 32. Like, both of them.
well, yeah. Listen, just don't pick. Just run both. That's the lesson here.
I mean, that's what we did with Steel types in Reg A, so.
Right, yeah.
And I think that the running both is just like partially due to the prevalence of Poundite, especially just like fighting types are so good into that combo. Iron Hands especially is so good into that combo. If that starts to decrease, then I think the utility of running both starts to decrease as well. I don't know if that's super sustainable, but as of like right now, if you expect to see Poundite, 20% usage, then yeah, go or at least POW 35% usage or Dragonite 20% usage, then yeah, like it probably is worthwhile just to run both for now. I don't know if that's going to be something that we're seeing a ton of at Worlds.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
interested. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, you can go. It's all good.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm interested whether Pound Knight will stick around by the time Worlds. I mean, I'm sure people will run it and stuff, but I wonder if it'll be as prevalent as it is now, especially on ladder. And it's pretty frequently used in this tour. It's a great combo. It's still doing the amazing things it's been doing since we've had access to it. But I think there are we definitely have mons with stats that can take double ups from those mons. So I wonder if by the time Worlds comes around that people will feel pretty confident in that strategy, or if they'll try to build in different ways.
Resident Pound Knight enjoyer here.
Is it going anywhere?
Well, I basically ran Dragonite in every single one of my teams since I started playing VGC, and most of those had champ power on it as well. It's definitely very good. I'm not gonna lie, it's not currently on my team.
Hmm.
Like right now, I think I tend to shy away from things that are really oversaturated, because I think people are generally gonna have answers to them. Now the question is, can you answer Pound Knight consistently? Maybe not. Maybe it's really good.
It's pretty powerful.
Yeah,
I
it's
linked
pretty
this
good.
this tweet from VGC data with um, a bunch of just Terra type data, just to show off that there were no, or every single Dragonite was Terra normal. There are no Terra flyings.
Checks out. Checks out.
Wow.
That is just what people are using. Um, and while we're here, there's like some other discussion of Terra types that we can go for.
Water
So
Flutter Main.
yeah, water flutter main definitely a thing.
That is
Around
real.
18% of the teams just have it. Living surging strikes is kind of good. The other way you can do that is with Terra Grass, and there's a couple of those. Still a lot of Terra Fairy because that was just the way to go in Reg C. And then a smattering of other fairy or like I guess all of them resist steel.
Wait, so,
The other ones.
so people are Terra Water over Terra Grass to beat Goldenga, is that right? Or like Ice Spinner? I guess Ice Spinner's better.
Water Urshifu.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I
no,
mean, grass was
Terra
was,
Grass.
You can
but
grasp for that, you're saying.
um,
Yeah, because like I was thinking, like Grass also stops Iron Hands, which is everywhere from wild charging you, especially if they're AV. But yeah, I think that like I
maybe
guess
if you want to resist Chiyu or like fire types generally want to
that's
exist
true.
in front of you,
Chiyu exists.
because they're fairy resists. So,
Mhm.
resisting them back is like some counterplay. I guess just going down the list, Terra Water and Urshifu, very standard. Smattering of like resistances to other things. Terra Grass to hit the Rumungus' Rocky Helmet, so you can surging strikes around it. It's pretty cool. But that's the Terra Water certainly has emerged as the leader for Rapid Strike Urshifu. Tornadus has the standard like utility non-terras of Ghost to dodge Fake Out and Extreme Speed, and then the second most common is Dark to avoid Prankster Taunt almost entirely. And then a little bit of Terra Flying for offensive sets. For other new mons, like if you guys have anything interesting you want to pick off this sheet, I just think it's interesting to look at how people have adapted.
Cresselia's tire type's kind of cool.
Sure.
The two main defensive ones are Fairy and Water, which I think it makes sense to go Fairy for Resistance Dark and stab on Moonblast or D-Gleam, and then Water just because Water's a great type. But I personally want to shout out the guy who won the tournament, the Ghost type, Cresselia, which I can only reason is this was a slot that he dedicated to hard trickery.
Yeah.
Which
It
was
walls
cool.
Ursaluna.
It was pretty cool. Yeah.
Your levitating ghost cannot normal or ground move you. It if you queue into a top 4 that has 3 Ursalunas, that's a pretty good Cresselia to have.
Good day,
So, sometimes the tech hits.
And speaking of Ursaluna, that was a Pokemon that a lot of people had started to write off. But I'm looking at the conversion rates among Pokemon in day 2, and Ursaluna had a similar conversion rate to Fluttermane. We talked about how crazy it was for Fluttermane. Obviously, much higher usage, so it is a crazy stat to see 12% of people use it and make move onwards. But 12% is still 1.5 times expected, and we see Cresselia and Ursaluna both overachieve. So I think that combo, obviously, also in top cut, 2 out of top 4 also had it. So that's a combo that I think maybe people took a little while for people to figure out. But like these teams are not crazy; they're not out there. It's just a very powerful combo that people maybe I don't know. What do you think happened? It's not like these are crazy teams, right? Why did Ursaluna have a tournament today?
It's just people were probably disrespecting Trick Room. Like, Torkoal also popped off super hard. Dozo popped off super hard. It's just early format, and If you walk into the room and people are disrespecting your team, then you get a lot of mileage out of it if you're doing something powerful. And Trick Room is objectively pretty powerful. It tends to have a pretty solid matchup into aggressive teams. So if you can get your Trick Room up, um, and the enemy team is just a bunch of squishy uh, glass cannons, like yeah, you're gonna have a good time. That's pretty much it. Like, meta wasn't respecting enough. You got some people like Teen Spirit here that loaded up Amoonguss Gudra, and I bet if he queued into some Trick Room players that he had a good time. But you can feel free to weigh in about your tournament experience.
Yeah. Like Gudra Mungus is pretty solid into Trick Room teams. Even if you're, I mean, worst case scenario, you can stall them pretty well. Usually, that's the worst case scenario. Other times, you just like body press them for like all their turns of Trick Room, and it doesn't matter. Ghost Ursaluna does pose some problems, especially if like the Crest is safety goggles, and then you're stuck in this weird stalemate where like neither side is really doing damage, and then you have to sort of position correctly. But yeah, Gudra can definitely be used to make it through those turns. That's kind of the idea on the team as well, is that, out of Trick Room, I have Tailwind, I have really fast Mons, but like if they set up Trick Room, you can pivot around well enough that you can sort of get through it and get back to a condition where you're outspeeding things and you're bopping things with like Wave Crash and Rain and stuff. So
I have a theory about why Trick Room was disrespected in this tournament. Well, I'm assuming there are a lot of people playing this tournament that a fair amount of them are like me, where we're new, and we're playing Scarlet and Violet. And this is my opinion, and I think, this might be a hot take. I think Trick Room has been pretty terrible in most of Scarlet and Violet. Hard Trick Room was not the greatest. You kind of had to roll your matchups pretty well in tournaments.
Yeah.
I think Trick Room historically has been a lot better than it has been in Scarlet and Violet. So I just, when I go to a tournament, I just full on disrespect Trick Room. Don't build for it. Don't care about it. If I hit it, I'll just play with them because the only people playing Trick Room are bad. That was my approach basically at every tournament. And so now Trick Room is real because Cresselia exists and Ursaluna exists, and so people showed up disrespecting it, and it had a good day because now the people were good and they were playing a good Trick Room team. So that's my Trick Room theory.
right, yeah.
Contracts?
Yeah, please.
Oh no, I was agreeing. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, great. Yeah, I think the main limitation of Trick Room, so far in the series until now, I think maybe, is just that the setters have been kind of like had a variety of issues. So like you can go with Fluttermane, and that's seen a lot of success, especially on like Gavin Michaels' Rain team last series or last regulation. But like even then, like you have to build a team that sort of like really supports that in a particular way. It's just hard to get those mons to really get the most out of the Trick Room. But now you have Cress, and Cress is a big ball of stats, and it's going to sit there, and there's not many mons that can, pressure it for an Oko, and you're going to see a lot of teams that, leverage Cress in particular to sort of get the Trick Room up and run more semi-room strategies that we've definitely seen in past years. I agree with you that for most of Scarlet and Violet, it's been gone, or you have these teams that, rely on Trick Room, and that's the only thing they do, and if you can get through it, then you've won the game, so.
Yeah, sustained pressure using Trick Room as an element. It's just not something that the Trick Room setters we had available lend themselves to. Immersion DD. Whether or not in DD is even supposed to have Trick Room is an open question, but it does. So, but yeah, they're not sustained threats. You can get through them once and then they're gone. So yeah, just agree with the takes.
One other thing I think is very interesting is that I think that the reason, part of the reason Ursaluna is doing better, I was looking at these teams, is because the players who did well found a way to make it more consistent. In general, Ursaluna is a very volatile Pokemon because a lot of things are immune to normal and a lot of things are immune to ground, and not a lot of things are immune to both, or can take an attack from both sides. And so, as a result, when you're playing against Ursaluna, a lot of games turn very coin flippy. which slot am I going to attack? Can I switch in my immunity in that slot and target it down with the other slot? And so I thought like this is a very strong Pokemon. It's very difficult to see sustained success with it because you're going to have to win a lot of coin flips to do well. And what these players have done, two things they had in common is one, they both had ally switch on their Cresselia, which means that not only did you have to call the slot correctly in terms of which side's attacking, but you also had to call whether they were ally switching or not, and so you basically get two chances of calling the coin flip correctly. That's something that maybe people aren't as familiar, especially newer players, not as familiar with playing against. There is some amount of stuff that you can do against ally switch, namely force them to click it and say that you are wasting a turn clicking it and punish them for spending a turn. But like that's not something that you are very familiar with if you didn't play in Gen 7. And then also both of them had Earthquake, and in fact one of them, the one that got second place, did not even have Headlong Rush, just had Ice Punch and Earthquake, saying, I don't want to play the mind games of which slot are you going to switch your Cresselia in, which slot are you going to Terra Fly in or Terra Grass. I am always clicking Earthquake. I am always doing consistent damage to both of your slots, if I can, if there's no Rillaboom on the field, I guess. Or I'm clicking Facade, and if there's a Rillaboom, I'm clicking Ice Punch into it. I don't know if Ice Punch is worthwhile. Obviously, it hits Lando really hard. But at the very least, it is consistent damage, and it removes a lot of coin flips, so you just need to do 50, 60% to something.
So, ground and ice coverage historically have just been a very good pairing. Like grounds, the moves, the types that it doesn't hit. You got flying, you got grass, and you got bug, and those are the three. Flying and grass are both hit by ice, and bug is fake. And so you just get to hit all of the stuff that isn't covered by Earthquake with Ice Punch. And yeah, it's a pretty synergistic type combination that's been good all the way since Gen 1 and has consistently been good for like the past 25 years of Pokemon. It's a good combo.
Terraground backs. My favorite Mon of Series 1.
Classic. Never goes out of style.
Mm-hmm. You don't have to run Terra Ground backs anymore, dude. We've got real ground types. We got like 5 of them.
Yeah.
Bro, Max is also gone. I miss him.
I do think Bax is like potentially still viable. Yeah, like I think it's still pretty good.
That guy is
I don't
weak
know.
to
Probably not
fighting
as
and
Terra.
parry.
He is weak to fighting,
yeah,
but he is an Urshifu resist. Surging Strikes resist. So
there we go. Yeah, no, and he's weak to parry. He's into the category of Terra Hog, and then you have to justify whether he's worth it.
He's
After hogging Terra, and maybe he is, maybe he isn't, but definitely going to be hogging the Terra.
I wish that Victory Road had stats for all the Pokemon, because I am very curious. There are some like we do see like 2 Regidrago in Top Cut. We do see a couple like Hisui and Lilligant in Top Cut, and they aren't in the overall usage stats. I'm curious about what their conversion percentages were, but I guess we could talk about some of the more interesting teams that we see in Top Cut as well. Unless you guys had some other revelations you want to get from the usage statistics. All right, let's talk about some cool teams. I guess we talked a little bit about the first place team. I think this is like the most common combination of 6 Pokemon. Was what VGC data had. Like literally, is this the same team? No, okay. There was an Iron Hand on the most common. Apparently 10% of people ran Tornadus, Urshifu, Chien-Pao, Fluttermane, Dragonite, and that is, of course, there's no Dragonite on this team. Never mind. It's a unique team. It's cool. It's different. But like, I don't know. Right. Overall, this team is pretty similar to what we've seen. A lot of the common cores, we see the Tornadus with Rain Dance for Urshifu. In this case, Goggles Urshifu. We saw Terra Grass Urshifu on the second place team, I think, which is another maybe trend. We see the Rillaboom, we see Fluttermane. Like nothing too new here. The Cresselia is, I think, what the really unique set where they were not Lunar Blessing. They said, no, my Cresselia is winning game on my own with Stored Power, Dazzling Gleam, Calm Mind, Moonlight. and leftovers Terra Ghost to always beat the Ursalunas. What'd y'all think of
Sick.
that?
It's so cool. I've only lost with it on ladder when I tried it out, but it's very cool. It's like I every time I run into an Ursaluna team, like, oh, I finally get to do it. I throw my crest out, and then I die, and I'm like, well, it worked for him. So good. I'm glad that it got its mileage.
Oh no.
It's pretty cool though.
Yeah, it's a cool set, I think. And stored power, with those boosts, lets you break through lots of the things that like to sit on the field and sort of and like you can probably beat Goldango with that, maybe, I don't know, but you probably can beat Goodra with stored power sets. So I can see how like he might set him up for some end games where it's like, and they don't have an answer for this Cresselia, so here we go. So it's definitely a cool take on that mon, and I'm sure the opponents were all terrified to see it when they loaded up the OTS. So
Yeah,
One mod
yeah.
I'm not terrified to see it is Fluttermane is not terrified to see that at all.
Sure isn't.
That is one of the big negatives that I was running into.
Yeah, there's a lot of there's a lot of hate for Dark Urshifu on the team, at least. So that's one way that you can pin the cross, and like the rest of the team handles that pretty nicely. So I'm not terribly convinced by it moving forward, but maybe it'll be good. I don't know.
It's cool.
It has one good performance so far.
I think it's a very good like checklist one where you're like, okay, how do I beat Ursaluna? Okay, I have this Cresselia, check that box off. How do I beat Goodra is another great example, right? You Terra Ghost, they can't body press you. It doesn't matter if they're a +6. Their heavy slam isn't like 4, it's 4 or 5 shotting you. You're moonlighting off. You are eventually beating that Goodra. And so if you're looking at, hey, these are the mons that are problems. Let me check some boxes. This Cresselia set does do that. Generally speaking, we don't see that type of team building mentality do well consistently. As for
that is how you build. That's more of a singles mindset. Like I just have a mon that beats your mon, and I can flex that advantage over the course of a game. Like usually you can tempo through those types of Pokemon. Gastrodon is a great example of this. Like you just kill its friends because the Gastrodon isn't doing enough. And then there's a Gastrodon left at the end that has to kill 3 Pokemon, and it's not capable, so it just loses. But I mean, sometimes they do work, and usually it just means that like usually they do put in work in the matchups where you want them to put in work. Just the Pokemon often are not good enough.
Gastrodon also notably in the list of Pokemon that had a ton of usage and 0 top cuts. Next to Gyarados and Bundle, and apparently all the water types just did not convert.
The only water type left is Dondozo. He's still here.
Dozo did. Urshifu water had a normal conversion rate. I don't know. We got to find a second water type.
Right, Urshifu. That's the water type.
It's okay, guys. No,
that is water type.
Don't worry. Next format's going to be Gastrodon's format for sure.
I guess for the team I would want to shout out is the 5th place team, Michael Kilsh's team. The ghost of NAIC is here, and Choice Band Dragapult next to Chimpao is alive and kicking. It doesn't have.
I'm really happy to see this. No, I'm really happy to see this. I was talking about this last week, that I thought that Alexis Gomez's team was the team that we could take away from NAIC and move and build upon going to Reg D, because it was very unique. It was not something that was explored a ton, and that combo is still very potent. So it's really cool to see it do well here too.
It has 4 of the pieces still. Just drop No, I mean, I think that's probably the biggest part of that team in this regulation. So I think it would make sense to
probably
drop it if you're going to change something about it. And then he just said, "Hey, I don't like Dragonite Chimpao. I like this giraffe." And then he's like,
So if you think about it, right? Dragapult, all the Urshifu sucks into Dragapult. Dragapult just beats at least the water one. Dark one's obviously pretty good. Heatran doesn't do well into it. Like Rillaboom doesn't do well into it. Like none of the new additions really do that well into Dragapult, except for Ursaluna. And so if you have this crazy combo that beats a lot of the new metagame and a lot of the old metagame, except you lose to Ursaluna, you just put the imprisoned Fergaraf on the team and you beat the Ursalunas, right? Right?
And yeah, and it's good versus Shadow Dragonite as well. So it's like
I mean,
win.
this is kind of like we were saying, or we're talking about with just trying to put the floodgate on the team to hard counter or something. It's not really how you build moving forward in the format, but Michael's a friend, so it's good to see him do well. And apparently, he just lost to getting ally switched on a bunch, which tracks. I mean, Crest Luna with ally switch probably is pretty good.
I on note on ally switch, when I started playing VGC, I was so happy to know that that was like not a move that was used, at least when I started the Scarlet Violet, because I had only experienced it from when I was like a doubles random player for fun, and I hated it so much. So now that it's here, I'm very scared. I'm glad it has a protect interaction now, right? Where it's like it fails. That's good.
Yeah.
Wait, it does?
Double ally switch. Yeah,
It
double ally switch has a 2/3 chance to fail.
All right. All I'm saying is, if he really wanted to beat Ursaluna, he should have put ally switch on his Fergaraf, which apparently it does get.
It does, yeah.
He could have imprisoned ally switch if he wanted to.
Oh my gosh. We had the full commitment to that. That's it.
I mean, hey, you can ally switch next to your Dragapult, and then they won't know which slot to hit when when you're Phantom Forcing. It's
No, guys, I only have it there so that I don't want my opponent to use it. I don't want to click myself.
Imprison ally switch. Holy moly.
Oh no.
It's just there so they don't like it.
I mean, at this point, we should add Imprison Landorus with Facade and Earthquake. So that'll counter it. Does that?
Well, that's not a good enough answer though. We need to give Landorus Headlong Rush.
Oh, true.
That's an idea.
Yeah. That's what the format needs.
We need to give Landorus Headlong Rush. I completely agree.
Gosh.
I want to face that down in day one of Worlds.
I mean, sure, yeah, I'd play with it. I would
add that. You want Headlong Rush from Stomach Catcher? Sure. Yeah, I'll.
It still has a hole in its coverage. You can't hit Landorus. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Just use Landorus.
That's healthy. See, that's way better than
Landorus Ice Spinner too. We need to give Landorus Ice Spinner. That's what you're saying.
No.
I said nothing of the sort.
I think that I've talked about this. I've complained about Fluttermane in the same context before. We've talked about it before. I think that it's really okay. It's really good when the best Pokemon can't hit each other, right? Like if Landorus can't hit Landorus, that makes for healthy Landorus interactions. When Incin can't hit Incin, that's healthy. Fluttermane just kills itself. It's not good. Iron Hands, very very powerful Pokemon, doesn't really beat itself. You can tech to beat yourself, but that's about it, right? Like Urshifu Water is like okay into itself. I'm okay with that one being good. Amoonguss, fantastic because it doesn't hit itself at all. But Fluttermane, man, it's just such toxic interactions. Tornadus too, because you can taunt the opposing Tornadus, and yeah.
So we should give Fluttermane a third type and make it go normal as well.
All I'm hearing is that Adi wants more Celestial mirrors.
Yeah.
Straight up
tech for that.
Like, unironically, yeah, actually, same. Like, not the ones that last like 30 turns, but like that wasn't even my experience with playing it. Really, it's just like they generally just you have the teammates kill them. We do also have some of those with Heatran mirrors in this format. Earth Power does not really kill lefties who grass Heatran, and so they kind of just sit there for the rest of the game if they get to an end game. And Flash Fire grass Heatran is kind of hard to kill, so that is like not an unreasonable conclusion to a game. So
just Flash Cannon until you get Spin F drops.
Yeah, Flash Cannon definitely breaks through grass trend. But sometimes you want substitute, and then
you are conceding the mirror. That's the cost.
Yeah, genuinely, like
I noticed something else just now about this. There is no new genie in Top Air 2 either. Neither.
No
of them.
Enamos?
or an
no
Amaranth.
Amaranth.
None of them
Yes.
converted? That's crazy.
Because I think, hey, audience, it's because of Mr. Flutterman. Why run an Amaranth when you go to Flutterman? It's better farrier type.
I think that's
It really
probably
is,
okay. The two niches that these guys have, the fast one has the niche of being a fast tailwind user. Obviously, less good when Torn is at whatever, 27% usage. Like you're not actually the fast tailwind setter. I think that there's I think there's something there. There will be a team that has the Enamorous that uses it as a fast tailwind setter that also has damage options. But it's going to be really hard to find a place that it does better than Torn. I think Contrary is probably that niche. Fighting coverage is probably that niche, but we'll see.
Just
I mean,
wait.
their ground coverage
Contrary,
is
Eerie Impulse is gonna win worlds. Eerie Impulse Contrary. It's gonna show up. No one's gonna perform.
Listen, I am terrified every single time I face a Thunderous and Amorous team on ladder, and there's so many of them, and they're just like I like to play her on side Eerie Impulse, but Thunderous is already just such an annoying Pokemon. I hate playing that team. Unless I have an Aditi on the team, I hate playing that team.
Oh, I think it's fine because I just Terra Fairy Spexman Blast and they die.
Bro, you just
Until they Eerie Impulse you.
You know what else? Terranova E-Speed kills that Pokemon.
Okay, that's true.
There's-
Dragonite does kind of.
Yeah. The offensive options kind of are
I
good.
ain't running Ghost
All
Type.
over,
Yeah. But I think I also think that the Trick Room form is probably okay. I don't know how good it is. Obviously, Ursaluna is probably just better, but it is another. I mean, any other format, any other generation, that mon is just absolutely nuts. It just so happens that we got the other stupid Spore immune Trick Room abuser in the same generation that makes it a lot harder to use and a lot harder to find a niche.
Goldenga?
Trick Room abuser, dude. Trick Room abuser.
Hey, you can run Trick Room Goldenga. You kind of can. But yeah, I know.
So
Yeah.
let's talk about sport immunity. I actually want to ask Devon a question about his team.
Yeah.
You were running Sap Sipper, and I
Yeah.
think that is very cool. Because I think a lot of people were like, "Ooh, battle armor, best Urshifu counter." But I think even when I was usually playing around with Gudra, I was putting Sap Sipper at the recommendation of a friend. So I just want to talk through that choice because I think that's pretty neat.
Oh yeah. So on this team, you definitely need like 2 slots that can switch into Spore, just because every team that has an Amoonguss is going to bring it into a rain team, like pretty much always. So it removes some of the mind games of that. The other thing too is, the way I try to play the Gudra on this team is, how do I put this? Basically, I'm trying to limit the number of turns I need for my Gudra to win in an endgame, so that I'm trying to minimize the number of times I'm getting hit, so I'm trying to minimize the chance that I'm getting crit in the end game. So like the benefit of battle armor is that, listen, you're never getting crit, like that's great, you can set it up at any point during the game, it can just chill there, you're probably fine. But the way I played the set was kind of like, I'm trying to get rid of as many as my opponent's pieces so that in the end game, I'm minimizing the chances that I'm getting crit through my +6 shelter and I'm losing. Whereas like throughout the game, you have a Gudra that's immune to the Spore, so anytime an Amoonguss is on the field, you can switch it in, you're getting attack boosts. It's really funny when they like Spore your Gudra and then you're 2-hit KOing their Amoonguss with Heavy Slam, so I just think it's a different kind of like thought. I think a lot of people, they look at this mon and they're just like, I'm gonna sit on the field and set up screens and it'll never die, and like that's valuable, like it can work, but the way I played on this team was more just like, I need it for actually like that immunity, and just like the typing is great, and I just play it to like try to minimize the amount of times where the crits can sort of screw you over. So yeah, and then of course my run ended by getting like crit multiple times, but those things happen, so it's whatever. Yeah. I'd say overall on this team was good, very good.
I think that Gudra, when you have an Amoonguss on the team, Gudra is so much more reasonable to answer if you're not Tap Sipper, because you just spore it, and you're like, okay, you get 1 shelter off, you're spored, and then I get to wait 3 turns, and you get another shelter off, and then I spore you again, and then like, okay, now you're set up, but all your friends are dead. So I definitely agree that Tap Sipper, even though you don't get to ignore redirection, even though it's going to take you a few turns to power through an Amoonguss, Amoonguss doesn't actually do very much into you in the early and mid game.
Yeah, that's basically the theory there. Yeah.
But yeah, actually, one other thing I saw about usage stats, changing topics a little bit, was that Indeedee had the highest conversion rate out of any Pokemon. Obviously, we saw Armarook do of a couple of the slots. We just saw a lot of the DD in top cut. 5 of them out of the 34 people who entered with the DD made it to top cut. It was the highest conversion rate of any Pokemon, just ahead of, looks like, oh, never mind, that's not true. Torkoal and Tatsugiri had higher conversion rates. Third highest conversion rate of any Pokemon. I don't know. Y'all thoughts on the DD?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing with Indeedee is that it kind of limits team building in some ways, just because it's difficult to run some of the pieces that we have when you're like end up like sort of inadvertently stopping priority for like yourself sometimes by bringing it along. So a lot of the teams that have Indeedee are sort of really capitalizing on that strategy, like the Trick Room teams, the Armor Rouge teams, the 20. Sorry, I just saw another one.
There were 2 Regidrago teams with the DD that were pretty cool.
Oh yeah, sure, it makes sense.
On it.
Oh, okay, so it's the Psychic Seed Acrobatics or something set. Yeah, right. So yeah, I just think it's a mon that like, yeah, you can run it, but like it's not splashable. It's kind of a mon that you have to put on the team so that all the pieces work together. So I think that's why you're seeing such a low usage overall, just because it's really sort of like, to build around it, you sort of have to commit to the idea of it. But the strategy is really, really strong, because stopping priority in this format where there's a lot of priority and a lot of good priority users is just like incredible. And I think that a lot of people didn't respect something like Armandita coming into this format. So that's probably why it's sort of has that great conversion rate.
Yeah, I agree. And we saw a few Armor Rouges, like you said. You saw a few Regidragos, and then there's one other Indeedee team. Oh, Indeedee. No, this seems just good stuff that cut with Indeedee. This is just Dark Shifu, Choice Specs, Chiyu, Indeedee, Pulse, Tornadus, Flutterbase. It's just like a good stuff team that had an Indeedee, which is fair. I mean, if you already at the point of running for a Rigoraph, you might as well run Indeedee, right?
Right. Of course.
Yeah. Don't like Champo Dragonite. Run Indeedee.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Rocky Helmet is super good, because if Champo wants to go for Ice Better, well, it has to lose its sash.
Right.
It's not a trade. Champo likes, loves.
And then I think the other 2 standouts that we have to talk about metagame-wise, first off, of course, is Dondozo, which got 3 slots in top 16, 3 in top 16, all running more or less the same team. The two Chinese players running it, and then Carson said he ripped their team from ladder. But Lex, as the resident Dozo player, what do you think?
Oh, I am not on the Dozo train. I have been off it since EUIC. I think that this may be just egotistical to say. I think since EUIC, Dozo has consistently gotten worse. Except for the Cabra Dozo. I think that was a cool reinvention of Dozo at the end of Reg C. That fit really well. It was really good in HO teams, and it like basically kind of took full advantage of the terror of the possibility of Tatsugiri swapping in. It was like a horror movie playing against that team. Ooh, is Tatsugiri coming in? Is it coming in? Oh, he didn't even bring it to the game. I personally hate playing against that team, but in this regulation, I will say yesterday, I went from Dondozo, I'm playing Dozo at Worlds, to I'm not playing Dozo at Worlds, to I'm playing Dozo at Worlds, to I'm not playing Dozo at Worlds, to Dozo is pretty average. That being said, a good Dozo player is a good Dozo player, and they should still be feared. Carson is a really, really good player who knows Dozo probably better than almost everyone in the world. And so it does not surprise me that he top 8 at this tournament with Dozo. He is insane. And he can just play with people. I want to have more faith in Dozo. I have yet to be shown super convincing evidence.
So Dozo's been killing it in the Reg D grassroots stores that we've seen so far. It has like one of the highest win rates just in terms of like stats won divided by total sets. Adi's the stats guy, but it's Dozo's just been
keeping these stats hidden I'm like I've been looking at Limos data and I've been gathering that and looking at stats for what's doing well or what's been doing well. And Dozo Tatsugiri going into this weekend was the highest win rate combo or highest win rate individual Pokemon. And so like in hindsight, if I was really trying to win this tournament, I think Dozo was definitely the play. Just because I do not think people were respecting it at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, maybe my perspective is shifted because every team that I have built since EUIC has a Dozo answer, like a dedicated Dozo answer, just because except for the camera Dozo, which is why I was terrifying. But to the standard Dozo builds, I was always like, oh, I'm never losing a Dozo. I play Dozo, I don't lose a Dozo. So, like, me personally, at least on the team I'm currently running, like, when I see a Dozo ladder, I'm like, okay, this is no problem. Thank you. Thank you for the LP. Or not LP, we're not playing League. But, so that was first time. I was a big TFT player. Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm just wrong stats-wise, though. Like, for what you guys are saying is tireless. Insane. Maybe...
Yep.
My theory, I got another theory. People probably were not respecting Dozo either coming into Reg D. I think a lot of people said to themselves, Dozo's bad in Reg D. Nobody will play. This is kind of like how Dozo works, though. It's like, people go, Dozo's bad. Drop Dozo answer. Dozo does well. Dozo's good. Adds Dozo answer. Dozo does bad.
Right.
Dozo's bad. Drops Dozo. It's like a circle. I think that might be kind of what's happening here. So Dozo's like it's like Schrodinger's Dozo every tournament. Like, is Dozo good? Is Dozo bad? I don't know. So that's...
But first off, I think that's true of a lot of Pokemon, right? We kind of saw the Pow Knight a little bit. It was really good for a while, kind of dropped off, and then people, or at least Tang realized that people were off it and won Hartford Regionals using it. And then kind of cycled back into the metagame after that. And that's kind of always been the case. Palafin had kind of the same kind of cycle in Reg C as well. So we see that a lot. But especially this tournament,
I think
really don't.
Extra prevalent with Dozo.
Yeah, well, Dozo needs very specific responses. You don't incidentally respond to Dozo on a lot of teams. Some teams you do, but I think Carson said that the person he lost to in top cut had Clear Smog and Mungus. And I know we talked about this in your team report back at EUIC. You were like, well, no one's running Clear Smog and Mungus, and then you ran it to the one person that was in top 4. And that's just sometimes that happens. If you say, I'm running Dozo, I'm just not respecting Clear Smog and Mungus, you can farm the entire tournament and then run to the one guy who is using it. Or you can dodge that one guy and win the entire tournament, if
so
Amoonguss has more use for its flex spots now than ever. Grass coverage. We saw Devon. We saw you running Giga Drain, I think, right? Running because hitting Urshifu is really, really good. There's a lot of water types. Everything's Terra watering. It makes sense to want grass coverage. It makes sense to want protect when the format's at higher power level. But then Clear Smog, of course, is just such a reliable Dozo answer, and it's just really hard to it's just really hard to find space on Amoonguss now with more threats than ever and asking it to do more than it ever has.
I will say another thing about Dozo that I think is a negative for it. I'm just gonna shit on Dozo. I know this is it's not supposed to be what I'm doing.
This is just propaganda.
Yeah, actually, guys, I am playing Dozo Worlds. I am making it sound really bad, but I'm gonna be the one Dozo top 8 at once. So there's gonna be one of them.
No, there's always 2 Dozos in every top 8.
Oh, 2. Okay, yeah. So
it's you and Choppa.
Me and Choppa are going first and second with Dozo Worlds. It's a double. But anyway, so Dozo. So one, Urshifu, even the water type, is a problem for it. Because something that Dozo loves to do is click protect every other turn to get that leftover recovery. And water Urshifu, even though it's only doing 20 to 30% with its crit surging strikes or whatever, close combat, it's annoying. Because you can't click protect because you're losing HP, and also the fact that I don't know how many Dozos are running Terra Blast in the cut, but from my experience, the Dozos on the ladder are not running Terra Grass Terra Blast, so they can't even remove the Water Urshifu in one hit. They gotta a lot of them are brought by Order Up. That's I think the one that the Chinese Dozo players are running Order Up, and
the Chinese players did have Terra Blast. At least one of them did.
Did they have Terra Grass? They have Terra Grass.
They had Terra Grass Terra Blast. Yeah, Carson did not.
Okay. Yeah. No, I think Terra Blast, Terra Grass, if you want to play Dozo, this is my Dozo tip. This is my pro Dozo tip. If you want to play Dozo and make it work in this meta, I think Terra Blast, Terra Grass is pretty good. Okoing Water Ursh is really, really great. Because you might think to yourself, I resist Water Ursh. That does not matter. If it is a Pokemon that says you can't click protect and still does almost Sacred Sword damage, which what Champao does to you, that's bad. You gotta get rid of that guy. And then Dark Urshifu is a huge problem for Dozo. Oh my god. That guy just says, hey, buy into at least 50% of your HP, and you don't even OHKO with me with the Wave Crash. That's terrifying. That's not good at all. So yeah, I. But that being said, Chop and I are getting first and second at Worlds this year with Dondozo. You guys have heard it here first. So that's
Perfect.
Yeah, there
That's
you
my-
have it, guys. Dozo is bad. Don't put Dozo responses on your team. You're not going to face the
no
overall, so
clear
don't worry about
smog.
it.
No one play the Dark or Shifu either, please.
Uh,
No one's playing Bundle either. So
on that note, the other team that I thought did especially well that we had that wasn't just like good stuff Smons that we'd seen a bunch of is Sun. We saw I think 3 Torkoal in top cut. Only 1 converted into top 16, I believe. If you don't include the Sunny Days, like I know one of the Dozo players had Sunny Day on his team. But Colding Light was the one of the Sun players using Solar Power Scarf Zard. I've seen this on ladder a little bit, and they posted their rental code as well. So if you want to try out the one of the Sun teams that did well, this is one cool take on that. There was a Typhlosion Sun team as well that also made it to top cut and went 8-1. What do you think? Sun, is it back? Is it good? Is it mediocre? Is it bad?
Yeah, so Sun, like, Torkoal's just pretty powerful. The Eruption does a lot of damage, and all of the new offensive tools, they still die to Eruption just like everything else. So it's just one of the things that you have to remember to respond to. Just like Chien-Pao Dragonite and Chew Flutter and Dozo and Cressor Luna and just
contrary and Everest.
yeah, and Terragrass Heatran, and like there's just so many things that require relatively dedicated responses. The Urshifu guy is pretty good. Requires a lot of focus. Like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff to cover with the same amount of team building capital. So yeah, Torkoal just capitalizes on that, and the meta heading into Worlds is going to be really interesting. I think that just making a meta call and like committing to it and saying that people are disrespecting this, I'm gonna do my thing, and I'm gonna be powerful, and I'm gonna tell the room that they were wrong for dropping their checks for me. I think that's just gonna be a really good way to play Worlds.
I completely agree. And another reason I'm a big Sun. I'm not a personal player of Sun, but I think Sun is good. Like more or less, actually, just the existence of the Sun weather. I think if you see an opposing team that doesn't have Rain Dance and they have a Urshifu Water on their team, and you go, "Hey, it's gonna get a little sunny in here," the Urshifu Water's a lot sadder. All of a sudden, it's got a close combat. A lot of things can live surging strikes in the Sun. Things that normally would die to it in one hit.
Right.
And that's pretty good.
You can actually intimidate that guy if the sun's out.
Yep.
It's just it's a different ballgame.
I think Sun is. I'm a Sun believer. I think the Sun players that are dedicated to Sun, like Nail said, I think it's Joey X9's with Worlds from. So he's gonna get third because me and Jump are getting first, and second. But he's getting third this time.
He's not going to bring his Devon match up, and that's fine. Like, he's going to get top 4. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
Good job, Joe. You got your trophy.
Notably,
Really missed pictures on Torkoal, so it's too bad. Yeah.
You were talking about Joe. I know. Sempra won a Limitless tour with a very similar Sun team to the one Colding Light used. I think I'm not exactly sure what the mods were, but I think that was built by Joe as well. And so I know that there's going to be. I'm sure there's going to be a contingent of Sun players who are doing very well. I especially think Lilligant maybe a little underappreciated how much it does for Sun. That mod is kind of crazy. And like you see here, not even running after you all the time. Sometimes it does, but like a lot of times it's just a chlorophyll mod that has a fighting move. And that means it kills Heatran or forces it to Terra, and that's really, really good. That's a lot of value.
Yeah, it gets Solar Blade. That move is crazy.
It's damage, a lot of damage.
Like Lilligant before was like, happy. Oh, it's all happy, good luck. This Lilligant kills you, murders you. This Lilligant will feed you the Grimace shit.
Yep. And it's notable that every single Torkoal that top cut also had a Lilligant on the team, despite not every Torkoal in the tournament having Lilligant on the team. That I think says a lot about how good Lilligant is, especially given the variety of these compositions. I think that's definitely the way to look at Torkoal moving forward. Go ahead.
Oh, I said Sun is cool. It's gonna do well. I think it's early exploration of the team comp, and yeah, it's definitely good. Torkoal's a good mod.
Yeah. Those were the big talking points I had. There are a couple other cool teams. Did y'all have any other teams that you wanted to talk about?
Chestnut.
I was gonna look at Chestnut. Yeah, I was hoping one of y'all would bring it up, but yeah, Iron Defense Body Press Chestnut made tough cut.
Oh, there it is.
This thing is not good. I'm just gonna say that right now. But it's cool.
It's not great.
It's not.
So,
I like Chestnut as a Pokemon. It was one of the first things, and then I said, but what if I just use Goodra? And as my
Yeah, I don't know about
It's
this.
cool though.
It is cool. You get style points. You definitely get style points for Chestnut, but
I mean,
Chestnut got a lot of new moves. It's still not good, but its movable is significantly better. Like it gets wide guard now.
Oh,
Yeah,
I mean,
I think people were.
You were saying you want your Goodra to be immune to Urshifu and also immune to Amoonguss. Well, you just got both. What are the Urshifus going to do? Searching Strikes you? Wicked Blow you?
I think it's like someone was like, what if I took my Flutterman answer and made it a little bit worse? That's kind of like.
Notably,
I'm
Bulletproof. Bulletproof sounds like it would block Moonblast. It does not block Moonblast. You still die to that.
Yeah.
Well, that was why everyone was like, "Oh, run Terra Poison," but this isn't even Terra Poison, so it's still taking like 50 from Moonblast, right? So, but it's Terra Water.
Mm-hmm.
It's taking a lot from Moonblast because it's a flutter click and Moonblast.
Yeah, I don't know, but hey, doing it. Listen, this guy was here, and maybe it'll inspire another guy to play Chestnut and hopefully play me in rounds in day one. So, yeah, play Chestnut. Everybody, play a lot of Chestnut, please.
I promise you, Tornadus is not real. It can't hurt you. Put a Chestnut on your team.
Chestnut is good. Moonblast is definitely blocked by Bulletproof, guys.
Just spreading misinformation. So we did have a couple questions in chat that I missed. Do you guys think Palafin can make a comeback?
Oh, I've got a strong opinion of that. No, like Palafin, it's still a water type and it has great stats, but I think that there's a bunch of really good water types that also have great stats that have a bunch of other things going for them. I think that Palafin has the niche of being a water type that doesn't really need Terra in all matchups. Whereas like Urshifu, a lot of the time it ends up Terra watering just because you need to get rid of the fighting, the weaknesses that are associated with fighting. So I can see it on teams like that where like you have these other pieces that really need Terra and you can't really afford to be doing Terra watering your Urshifu constantly, so you want a Palafin. But otherwise, I don't think it's the wave. I think there's a bunch of other cool ways of getting crazy water damage out. So
I've never liked Palafin. I didn't like it in Reg C when it was good. And I didn't like it in Reg B when it was good. So I'm not gonna like it in Reg D. I think if I'm putting a water type that does a lot of damage on my team, I'm putting my boy Urshifu. That guy is good immediately and hits through protect.
I think that there's probably a team for Palafin out there. Like, Palafin does have stats. It has a lot of stats when it's in hero form. And if you look at the non-Urshifu water types, other than Dozo, they did not convert. Like, these guys are not good. I'm sorry. I mean, Basculin Legion, honestly, probably okay. Not here represented in the usage stats, but like, I'm looking at people running like Gyarados, people running Bundle, Gastrodon, just not converting at all. I do think there's room for exploration in the water types. I don't know if it's Palafin or not, but I think that you got to explore a little more if you're not running Urshifu.
So water type massacre. I think it's because grass is back. I don't know actually.
Also worth noting that there were 7 solo Dozos in the VR tour, and none of them day 2. So it might not be solo Dozos format.
It's not. Listen, if Dondozo with Tatsugiri is bad, Dondozo without Tatsugiri, oh no.
Well, no, but Dozo with Tatsugiri is really good. So,
Yeah, it's actually.
but like if it's bad, then sure. But, like it's not. But like
Yeah,
hypothetically,
you're right.
You just gotta go back to catfish.
Right.
Catfish balance.
Someone get Kalen Brown here. Someone get him. We need him.
It's time.
Solve the meta. It's his time. He's gonna win.
So the next question I have is why isn't T-Tar anywhere? It's the one weather I haven't seen. And T-Tar historically pretty good into Pound Night, so it's kind of interesting and it's good into Cresselia. What do y'all think?
so Tyranitar, like on paper, pretty good into Qianpao Dragonite. Like breaks Focus Sash. No one really runs multi-scale, but if they did, it would break that. It resists E-Speed and has like a big Fizz Def stat, and so you can just tank hits. So one of the issues it has is that Rock Slide after a turn of Sand Chip is like a pretty bad roll to kill Qianpao. So you don't actually like pick that up, and if you get your Terra Call right, still not really winning the matchup. Like most of the viable Terras, like Terra Flying, weak to Ice Spinner, so they can just call you out on it. It's like the fairy weakness isn't great. It does get heavy slam, so you can do that to a flutter. But if you want to have assault vest on your guy, then which was like has been the most common stat throughout Gen 9 VGC, then you don't get to like protect for a turn of sand, so you're just like dying to the Qianpao Sacred Sword a lot of the time. Like, yeah, it just doesn't really get the damage rolls that it needs to keep up with like some of the mons that you're trying to check with it.
It's like a bulky mon that still dies in 2 hits.
There's also that
and
that Urshifu guy that got added to the
Yeah.
game. That is pretty good too.
Really bad for him.
Yeah. I've definitely played with Tar a little bit. I think he's better on paper than in practice, but I wouldn't be shocked to see him make a little noise at some point. He's
How
okay.
would people Iron Thorns though?
So,
that guy
Iron
does not
Thorns-
break Qianpao's Focus Sash with its ability.
Fair point. But it
But
Blast.
it does with Pin Missile.
True.
Right.
Yep. Sadly, it is no longer the best Pin Missile user to use next to Annihilate. That now goes to Overquill, which is the Pokemon that you should put next to your Annihilate to Pin Missile it.
It does get intimidating.
I think you should be running Water Shuriken Greninja, friend.
I think that you might see a Tub Nation stream where a certain someone uses that. Certain someone known for using bad teams.
Okay.
It's not John.
On Tub Nation.
Not John. I was convinced it would be John.
It's not John.
I was so convinced. I was begging to run into him in NAIC.
Hub Nation does not endorse the usage of Water Shuriken Greninja. Our legal team.
What about the other
actually,
one?
shit, our legal team does endorse the use of Water Shuriken Greninja.
Electrode with Scarface.
Hottie, we've got a problem.
Do I have to pull up the Electrode copy pasta again to tell you my thoughts about Electrode?
What is the copy pasta?
I think the people are sleeping on Hisui and Electrode. Electric and Grass is an amazing typing. It's only weak to Fire, Bug, Poison, and Ice. Fire and Ice will see some play, but Bug and Poison rarely do, but the weaknesses don't really matter for this class canon. Abilities, Static, and Aftermath are just okay, but Soundproof is always nice to have. Hyper Voice and Perish Song, they always see play. I know these stats don't look amazing, but that speed is nothing to scoff at. It's the second fastest in the game, only tied with Calyrex Shadow Rider. But the thing that makes him so interesting is Chloroblast. 150 grass special move with recoil damage. Other big burst damage moves include Hyper Beam, Electro Ball, Thunderbolt, and Thunder. And support-wise, you get Worry Seed, Taunt, and Leech Seed. Let's look at some counts.
Is this a real thing that was... Is this an actual opinion that someone had?
Yeah, it was on RVGC.
Yeah.
Hey, someone get Andrew Johnson on the case. He did it with Lexar before. He can do it with this guy.
True. This might be him.
We need to get him on the case. This guy, Andrew Johnson, is the hero you need.
Oh, that's actually something. poor Lucky. Where'd Lucky go?
Bad one.
Nowhere in this tournament. Nowhere.
If Iron Bundle's not
That is
seen, cool.
surprising.
Well, okay,
A lucky,
there's one, I guess. Yeah.
a lucky's just good. Yeah, it was Joe using it.
Really? You think Aleki's good?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
so-
no. So Lucky's got some problems to solve. And they're named Jinpao and Dragonite, but like that ability still kind of hits different.
It does hit different because it was nerfed.
True.
Oh, sorry.
By definition.
Literally true.
It,
Um,
no. It hits like a booster energy is what I think it hits like.
True.
Have you
But yeah,
seen
no,
most with Calcs on Tornadoes? Don't know his kill anymore.
you kind of need the boosting item. Basically, Transistor is a multiplier, and if you stack enough multipliers, the numbers start to get pretty solid.
Okay.
Like,
I trust.
I think you're supposed to be running Terra Electric on the guy. I think, like, you can pick up bulky Fluttermanes with your electric moves if you stack enough multipliers. Like, Specs Thunder gets there with a Terra Electric. Or if you throw a Chi-Yu on the team, then Thunderbolt starts to get there with, like, a Lightfoot.
Okay.
But,
That does
yeah,
sound appealing.
Lucky does damage. Like, in my short time of playtesting with it, I definitely just, like, Terra Electric T-Bolt to the Dozone and died. From 100.
No, another reason Dozo's
Probably
bad. Don't use Dozo.
True.
Right, yeah.
I do think that approach is correct. I think that making it as ignorant to Pokemon as possible is really good. I think that the big weakness that I've seen with it when I face it is that Fluttermane's on every team. Fluttermane has stupid special bulk, right? You're not actually like OHKOing Fluttermane and you're dying back to like a Dazzling Gleam, where you're taking a million if you're super bulky, and so like that's kind of been the issue. The speed control isn't super relevant, but if you can make it kill Fluttermane, if you put a Specs on it and you just say I'm hitting that dude really hard, and if Iron Bundle just completely drops off the face of the earth as we saw in VR, all of a sudden it is the fastest thing in the format, and that does have value. Then
Except
I do
for
think that
booster
Alki-
flutter.
Sure, except for Speed Booster Flutter, which I think you could just live an attack from at that point, you know. So I do think that you've convinced me. I think Elky is probably more viable than I gave it credit for, especially the way the metagame is shaken up.
Yeah. Like, it's got a solid BSD. You can live like a hit with it, physically and especially. It's a Pokemon that you have to be very careful around, building around. It's not a meta staple at all like it was last gen, but it has viability.
Mm-hmm. And then the other question that we got was, what are your thoughts on Urshifu Dark?
Good mon.
Underused, like at the moment at least. Yeah.
Let's look
guys.
to the Pokemon. It says, does it beat Dozo? Yes, it's a good mod.
Not only it's actually also doesn't Oko Amoonguss. The Avalon can Oko Amoonguss with the right investment and item and Terra. But hey, Okoing Amoonguss is good, guys. Through Protect, there's no swap into that. Anything that there are swaps into that, but anything that swaps into it is taking 50%. That's still good. Like,
yeah,
it does a lot of damage. It's just really hard to position.
It chunks everything always, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah. That's my thoughts. It kills those when Amoonguss. Good Pokemon.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's very good. I think that people are defaulting to water because it's really easy to put Fire, Water, Grass on the team, but Dark beating Amoonguss and beating Rillaboom is very, very good, and those are attributes that you can't give up, or it's hard to give up. I think that especially if people tech really hard for Water Urshifu, and like say Rocky Helmet is super prevalent, Static is prevalent with Zapdos, Rough Skin with Garchomp or whatever.
It's pretty.
Now, yeah, Wicked Blow is like, oh, okay, I'll take 12% to do 90 to you. Like, that's fine. I'll take that trade. Surging Strike's obviously the trade's a lot worse, but so I think that's like another reason that Dark Shifu, even if you're looking for just a fighting type, can fulfill a better niche.
I also think that A lot of the defensive terras resist water, whereas a lot of the defensive terras do not resist dark.
Right.
They take neutral.
Yeah.
And then you're like, hey, I'm sorry, but you're down to Pokemon. And I'm not. That's a pretty good trade.
Yeah. He kind of smacks stuff.
It's just not amazing into Flutter Mane. And by not amazing, it has a bad matchup into Flutter Mane.
That is one way to put it. Yes, it is true.
But it kills literally, like,
Most other things.
it kills a lot of things, guys. Like, it's a good Pokemon. I think, like we said, we're just defaulting to water because fire, water, grass core. I don't think I've played a single team with a fire, water, grass core on it, except for, I guess, does Terra Grass stuff doesn't count in the USC with Chiba Bundle. I don't. I'm very like really. I think a lot of newer players like me, like I, tend to shy away from like these like traditional ways of playing VGC. Like I can't stand using Amogus on my teams, and so everyone was like flocking to water, and I was like, hey, but what about just OKOing everything? So that's
When it works,
my,
it works.
my baseline for power in this game is Terra Normal Dragonite E-Speed with Sword of Ruin, guys. So I need something to like scratch my itch for killing like something immediately.
To impress
And
you, yeah.
Urshifu Dark is like scratching my itch right now, like really badly. Like it's I'm getting my fix. Get my fix, okay? And I don't know like what I'm gonna use for Rosenwall. I just know that I think Urshifu Dark's a cool Pokemon. Like it does a lot of damage.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
yeah.
Yeah. On Team Fist is a good ability. That's my hot take
It's
of the
okay.
day.
That's your hot, yeah.
I just
think
wish
Go
I just
ahead.
wish that on like they would have changed the sprites so you could tell which one was which. I mean, it doesn't matter that much. We have OTS, but like when you're laddering and stuff, like it'd be nice to know which one's gonna happen to you. So
You just kind of assume it's water, and then sometimes you get
And
owned
then-
because your Cresselia is on the board, and they've got Wicked Blow, and you already used your Terra, and you
Oh.
thought you were going to be good into the Urshifu,
Oof.
and now you're bad. Like
And
Yikes.
it's still less close combat.
I wonder if that is going to sway more Japanese players, right? I think that's one of the things that we talked about again was like Japan Worlds, Japanese players are going to be overrepresented relative to in the past years, and they do ladder on cart a lot more. They aren't as exposed to open team sheet tournaments as much. Obviously, they did very well here, right? Like we saw, I think Ko get to finals, right? Like they're good players, but I am curious if their team building is going to be impacted by the prevalence of closed team sheet and the way that their structure is, and therefore we see more Urshifu Dark at Worlds.
Yeah, that terrifies me, actually.
so, like we've also seen Japan just kind of largely agree that Chalk was the way to play 2015, and just have a lot of good iterations on it. So I think this could go either way. I do think that OTS is a hard concept to grasp, just how much of a difference it makes. It's a completely different game, but like I think that teams should be fine from the Japanese players, or at least pretty close to fine. Like I wouldn't expect Japan to hard bomb Worlds or anything like that, despite it being like their first real exposure to OTS.
I mean, if EU can win a Worlds when Worlds is in EU, then I'm sure Japan can win a Worlds when Worlds is in Japan.
home field advantage, yeah.
And it sucks because Dozo's winning it, and it's an enemy American. But sure, I could try.
USA has done extraordinarily well this year.
Except at NA. I mean, NA, we did well at NAIC, but hilariously enough, we didn't win NAIC.
Yeah, it happens.
What do you mean?
Can't
Finals
get
was
a
a Spanish player and an Indian.
Yeah.
No NA players in sight. Also, Pengi is definitely Swiss and not American. Anyways, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, we had another question.
Yeah.
We said, do you think Hisui Arcanine is going to be a meta mod moving forward?
Yeah, it should be. Like just click and rock slide is pretty good with the guy.
Awesome. Yeah.
Like intimidates the Chanpao. and so you can eat a Sacred Sword, and Rock Slide, as mentioned with Tyranitar, like isn't going to pick up the Oko on either one of them, but it's going to deal solid damage, and just like when it's damage trades, it's a normal resist. That don't ask about how it does into the Aqua Jet, but yeah, it's also a fairy resist, and there are not that many mons that are normal resists and also fairy resists without being weak to Shadow Ball, and just the typing is pretty good. It deals damage.
I believe it also got a little bit more attack than regular Arcanine, right?
Yeah.
So it kills Fluttermane a little bit easier too, I think.
Slightly.
Yeah, which is good. Good. More things kill Fluttermane.
Well. Yeah. So cool
It's a
mon.
little bit slower. Yeah. I agree with everything Neil said. I think it's cool mon.
Yeah.
There was only one Hisui Arcanine in top 32 at VR, but
and it bombed in top 32. It was still in top Vanera. I think this team is very cool. It's obviously somewhat vanilla, but we haven't seen a ton of Thundurus when Tornadus is everywhere, and I do think that clicking Thunderwave next to your Heat Arcanine and having Intimidate plus your Impulse and also Thunderwave Rockslide those are some really cool synergies that haven't really been explored a ton.
That sounds evil. That's what I'm putting my builder next. Holy moly!
I think he's onto something.
And Dozo. No, I'm sorry, not Dozo. Not Dozo. Dozo's not winning.
2023.
But then I'm just gonna get crit by Urshifu. Body.
Yeah, by the Urshifu. Yeah. I mean that is the issue with Arcanine, right? Is that like it is super weak to Urshifu, it's super weak to water moves, weak to ground moves. But no.
Arcanine dies to Urshifus.
It honestly, like we were talking about how Pokemon are weak to Sacred Sword when they're playing against Chien-Pao at night, but like intimidating the Chien-Pao and taking a neutral Sacred Sword is like very doable, even if you take an E-Speed alongside it. Stomping Tantrum from Dragonite is a different question altogether. You don't actually get to lead it very effectively into Powknight. But
that is so true.
No, I think this mod is very real. I think there's a lot of different ways to use it. I also think normal Arcanine is still very real. I think people are maybe underappreciating that with New Toy Syndrome, but like base form Arcanine is still just like a good Pokemon and is not as weak to things like Urshifu, and so it has its own niche for it.
I have a question for you guys. On the topic of new mods, on a scale of like 1 to 10, how Sneasler pilled are you?
That'll be a 1 from me.
Also me, but I'm just curious if we have any Sneasler believers.
It's like a 3. I was actually testing it today, and it was really underwhelming. And then I like tinkered with the EVs, and I was like, oh my god, I finally found an EV spread that does everything I needed to do. I haven't played games with it since then, so I've got one more ladder session in me with Sneasler, and if I decide it's bad after that, I'm off it.
I've tested it out. It's like it's not good. Like, yeah.
It's funny, but otherwise,
Dark Claw is 80 base power. I'm not killing Fluttermanes if they don't tear up.
No.
Like,
what if you put it to sleep?
Wow.
Then I win 1/6 of my games. Like,
no, I know. I don't agree. I agree with you. I don't. Think
okay, so slightly more. Like sometimes you get the Paltria fake out. Like you get the full pair, the pair of full para. So like that's an extra 4%. So we're going like 20% of our games.
I did in fact play a Dozo and looked at it and said I was testing Masahiro's team. I played a Dozo and just dire clawed the Dozo and fell asleep and said, "Oh, cool, I win." So Sneasler, I mean, hey, Toxic, pretty good into Dozo. Thunderwave, pretty good into Dozo, depending on your team. If you can take advantage of all 3, that makes your Dozo matchup a 50-50.
That's right.
right. Another reason to not run Dondozo.
It's bad.
It is bad, guys.
Yes, hey.
Please, let me have this.
No, I'm not super Sneasler repelled, but I think it's a Pokemon. I do think that inevitably, World's day 1 winning in, I'm going to face a Sneasler, and they're going to dire claw me turn 1, and I'm going to fall asleep, and I'm going to just be tilted off the earth. But that's a story for that's a story for me at the 5-2 tables or whatever.
Right.
I'm not ready.
All right, you guys want to look at the You guys want to look at the Iron Moth team that top cut as well, Hippolyte?
Oh
It
yeah.
was Hippolyte, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone watched NAIC.
Right? Someone. So
Someone looked like they took half of NAIC top 8 team and then put 3 of them on it.
They just said yes. The thing that my Reg C team needed was Landorus. Now it's finally ready. And they built
To
like
be fair,
Grace Gold
like,
Dango Moth.
This Iron Moth
Scouting is
doesn't
my
even
personality.
have like they don't even have like the acid spray shenanigans because there's no Flutterbait, there's just Goldego.
No, they just wanted to
It's
acid
just
spray.
chilling.
They just wanted to.
No,
They just wanted to
they
slug
just
wave next to
wanted.
their Goldie.
They just wanted an Iron Moth on their team.
All right.
Yeah,
Think about
they
it.
I
did.
didn't cut the score.
You can parting shot with the Grimsnarl into your Gold Dango and then click Sludge Wave safely.
You sure can.
Or it's your Landorus. Honestly, Landorus is taking nothing from.
Oh
Sludge Wave.
yes, the classic Grimmsnarl Iron Moth lead. How could I have
That's
forgotten?
some pressure right there. But
Protect into Reflect into Parting Shot into Sludge Wave. That shit slaps.
I mean, it is a fire type
Terra
that.
Poison, Light Screen, and that's your poisonous straight
So what does this do into Urshifu?
You're
It
not
outspeeds
supposed
it.
to
It
worry
kills it
about
with
it.
Energy Ball, right?
Not an issue. All right.
No, it outspeeds and kills with Energy Ball. It's like not bad.
You're right. That's true. My bad. And you have the Mugus. They're completely correct.
Hazu also is notably excellent into Urshifu Rapid Strike. And
And
Actually, good to
Water Rolling is
both.
really
It's good to
too.
both.
Like,
I was actually thinking about Azu in general. Like Azu has the typing to be both Urshifus.
Mhm.
All of them. That's when you run into Terragrass Trailblaze. Urshifu does get that. Max Bull.
That's pretty
Trailblaze once.
An option.
Swords Dance once, and then Terrablaze once, and then you can click all your other moves. Yeah.
Yeah, or you could just click the critic button to begin with. But yeah. I don't really know. This guy's team is cool, but it's
Yeah, genuinely, I didn't know that Lando got taunt until now, so that's cool. I like taunt Lando. That's neat.
it's like all the items are like also like this guy said, well, what if I move the item over one? Like the AV is on the Zumaro, not the Landorus. The Rocky Helmet is on the Landorus, not the Amoonguss.
Scramble the
which
items.
is- The citrus is like not on like I mean I guess citrus can be on Amoonguss, but like sometimes you see citrus Goldego on these teams instead of lefties, you know. So that's kind of neat. He pasted the paste incorrectly, and then just went.
LEC rolled the light play on the Grimstone.
Oh wait, hang on, wait! I gotta ask a question. What is going on with this Amoonguss, Terra?
That's
What's the
spooky.
problem?
It's Ghost.
Legitimately spooky.
Yeah. You gotta not get one shot by Ursaluna. I guess I don't know. I'm just making shit up.
There's no way this lives guts.
I mean, you could probably. I guess the idea is, sometimes you can just win games by Terra ghosting, sporing things. I guess that's the idea.
This guy
I
said,
mean, it's Pow Knight as well, right? But
Yeah, they can't e-speed you. It makes it a little scary at
"Bro
least.
came up with the damn." That is, I guess. What is Pound Knight doing to Spore Terra Ghost?
They're gonna
Oh.
sucker punch your spore.
No, it's gonna. You know what they're gonna do? They're gonna click Outrage like a Giga Chad.
True.
That's what I would do.
That's fine. That always lands into Grimstone or Azu.
Always,
Sure,
yeah.
totally.
Two fairies, not a problem.
You're right. And a Steel type, we're chilling. Although honestly, the Steel type probably taking.
The steel type's taking 40. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so curious what this guy's
Have to
like
reflect.
lines are. Like, I don't like. What do you lead this? It feels like it leads Goldango Grimstar probably like almost every time.
And it did well, so yeah, like
Yeah, no, it cut the tour.
it worked,
Like,
guys.
Yeah.
Red
This-
Silver is the type
yeah.
of guy that's capable of skill diffing a tour.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
like very strong player, but
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know anyone, so I believe you. This guy's just better than everyone.
it's entirely
She's very
possible.
Sounds about right.
all right. With that, those were all the teams that I wanted to talk about. Were there any other teams that y'all had in mind that you wanted to talk about for this tour? All right,
I'm pretty good.
Cool. The silence is very telling. I did want to give a shout out to the other big tournaments that are happening. Oh my god, I have so many tabs. Okay. The other big tournaments that are happening in the next couple weeks. These are going to be the other tournaments that I think really define the metagame. in the lead up to Yokohama. And so first off, this upcoming weekend we have a Nino Poke Bros tournament with a $500 prize pool. So I suspect that a lot of people are going to sign up. It looks like we have 354 people signed up already. Okay, this is going to be huge. It's a free tournament too. So looking forward to that. Same deal, open team sheet. This time, unlike VR, we actually get to see all the team sheets, and so we can dive all the way down to those guys who went 4-3 drop and see if they had some spice. But yeah, so definitely looking forward towards this. And then the Wide League is hosting a tournament on July 22nd, 23rd. I don't know why they're top 32 cutting, but they are top 32 cutting apparently. And they have a $1,200 prize pool, so I guess they're just assuming it's going to be a big tournament, Victory Road Test tournament. And so look forward to that. I've actually commentated for these guys before. They're great, cool group of people. So yeah, looking forward to this as well. We're going to cover all the results from these if they are posted on Tub Takes, of course, just to really try to make sure we have an understanding of what the metagame is going to look like leading up to the World Championships. So. Are y'all planning on playing any of these tours?
Yeah, I'm playing Nino.
Yeah, I'll probably sign up.
Probably
at least one of them.
I'm excited for the Nino Poke Bros tour.
Yeah, I'm excited for it too. It should be a good time.
I'm excited to not win it with Dozo.
Mm-hmm. But you're bringing Dozo, right?
Really, I'm going to do very poorly, but I am bringing Dozo, yes.
Okay. And then you win the tour, and then we know what you're bringing to Worlds.
No. I'm going to lose the tour, abandon Dozo. Tragic. Dozo's player lost his Dozo. Gonna come back for Worlds. Chop it out, we'll figure it out. For a second.
The redemption arc at Worlds, yeah, exactly.
That's the story.
It's going to be double ground, take 2.
Jesse Ravallo. A shout out to him. Yeah, I don't know. I can't explain that either, man.
All right. So on that note, we're going to move on to the Calc is right. I did not give you guys a heads up about this, but Lex, I know you know the rules for this, right?
I got one.
Devon, do you know what the Calc is right?
Vaguely, just for me in the audience, go ahead. Give us the rules.
So the rules are very simple. Everyone comes up with a damage calc, and they say it out loud. They say the Pokemon, attacking Pokemon, and their stats, and the defensive Pokemon, and their stats, item, etc. And they don't say how much it does. And then each of us have to guess what percentage is going to do. We guess one number. If you get it in the range, then you get the answer correct in the damage range. And if you get it outside the range, then you get it wrong. Try to come up with a calc that is fun. We've had some fun ones in the past. So, yeah. I honestly have not thought of my calc either. I don't think I've ever thought of my calc before. Less than a couple minutes before the
I've got
before the
2
episode.
calcs.
You got 2 calcs? Oh my god! All right. So, yeah, I guess. Nels, you said you had 2 calcs. Do you want to go first?
Yeah. So I'll go for the first one. For those of you who were around in VGC 2018, Zapdos was a pretty common Pokemon as a supporter. One of the main nukes in the format was Tapu Koko using Electrium Z, 1.5x strain boost. So the Gigavolt Havoc, you could EV to live that with Zapdos with a spread of 252 HP, 164 Speed F. And that would take 99% max from Gigavolt Havoc from T-Bolt Koko. So how much damage does that Zapdos take from a Choice Specs, Terra Fairy, Flutter Mane, and Blast, 116 Modest, with Beads of Ruin on the board?
Sorry, can you post the
Yeah, what is that?
Yeah, it's I'll drop it into the Twitch chats. This is
all right, 252, 164. And you said for reference, this lives a Tapu
this
Koko
always
Max
lives
Lightning?
Max
Max
Lightning from Electric Train, Tapu Koko, Gen 7 Tapu Koko, so it's got the free choice specs on. So yeah, what is the how do yesterday's
no.
nukes compare to today's nukes?
Uh,
This is essentially just comparing Beads Flutter Main to Gigavolt Coco. Gigavolt Coco was a menace.
okay.
Shit, this is hard.
Do we give like a range or a number? I forget again about that.
You
You just
pick a
guess a
number.
number, and if the
Okay.
number is in the range, then you win.
Okay.
And this is, you said Terra.
And like the
Blast?
number can be
Yeah, I'll post it in the group chat
the
too.
number can of course be like over 100, right? Because
Yes,
sometimes-
Yeah.
it could potentially be over 100.
Okay.
Okay.
Uh,
We'll just let me know when you have it.
Okay.
I'm trying
a
hard.
number.
Just give me a second.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. I got my number.
Lexar, Team Spirit, y'all good? Got your
yeah,
guess?
sure. I got.
Hey,
it.
put your phone down.
Okay.
I see you.
No. I'm
phone
looking at the
off.
count. I'm looking at the count.
Okay.
The count in the chat. Yeah, I'm looking at the count in chat.
Sure.
I-
Yeah, so start with Adi. What you got?
I got 112.
Okay.
Okay. So I
Teacher?
thought 110. That was my number.
All right.
My
Alexa?
number is 95.
All right.
95.
Plug it in, Adi.
Really believing in Zapdos. Hold up.
I'm
plugging in.
okay. Listen, here's the thing. Series 1, I played Kilowattrel, so when I saw Zapdos come out, I was like, this is the reincarnation. This is my. But then I realized that I didn't want to play it. Or I might. I don't know. But I'm believing in the Zapdos. Hold on. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe I'm just way off. I got
All
no
right.
clue.
What I'm getting is it's doing 103.5 to 122.8. Is that right?
Yeah. No. Beads Flutter is on a
Zapdos.
completely different level from Gigavolt Coco.
My Zapdos.
This Flutterman guy is not okay, and she is
Hmm.
not okay either. This is something that I've just seen like a lot of meta staples from the past, Zapdos included, just kind of get stat checked by Flutterman.
Right.
It's tough out there for your old fave.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
yikes.
And keep in mind, you only got one of those attacks per game. This one, you can just click every turn.
Yep, it's
Yikes.
coming at you next turn.
Yikes.
All right. Lex, you said you were ready. You got a calc for us?
Yeah, I got a calc. Okay. I also have a Chiyu calc. But it's Chiyu itself this time. The man, the myth, the legend, the fish. 2v2 Modest Specs Terrifier Chiyu Overheat versus 2v2 HP 2v2 Calm Cresselia.
Yo, interesting.
How much damage doing? I can
no
paste
other-
that. It's
Yep.
hold on.
Just make sure
And
not to
no
paste
other
the actual
multipliers.
result.
How do I paste it without the damage?
Just copy the segment.
Oh, yeah, hold on 1 minute.
Yeah,
Give me a
highlight
second.
it and paste it.
Hold on. Let me open up the stream on my computer. Give me a minute.
So you said Chiyu with all the multipliers except for Terra. No Terra.
No
It's not
sun. No sun. The
No
Terra-
sun, yes, Terra.
Yes,
Right?
Terra.
Yeah.
No sun.
Yes.
Oh my God, sun. Into Cresselia.
No
with
sun, no
Max
sun.
Max
You already know what
Death
that
Calm.
card looks like.
There
It's
you
a
go.
fake cross set, but I gotta guess.
No, it is a fake crest set, but that's why it's fun.
Yeah.
It's also a fake Chiyu set, but
Yeah.
It's
there's-
less fake than the cross set.
Yeah.
It's fun. I went for a fun calc.
in this fake world where I gotta prep for this fake Chiyu, I gotta run this fake crest, you know.
Listen,
That's
I
true.
guarantee you,
Or
Adi,
maybe you
you're
don't
gonna run-
gotta.
there's gonna be a Chiyu that's running this at once for sure.
Terra Fire? I don't know.
For sure, 100%. There's gonna be one player who wants to do it running it.
Anyways, I got
Maybe
a
not the.
number.
Maybe honestly, yeah, that just tracks. There probably is gonna be someone on that cheap. I got a number as well.
Yeah, I'm ready. Whatever.
Okay. Adi, you go first.
So I was gonna say 65, but then I remembered that Cresselia is like 10 base stat points less than what I remember it to be. So now I'm bumping it up to like 73, let's say.
I
Okay.
Yeah, I got faith in Chiyu. Like not that much faith, but I'm thinking it's doing like 83. I think that hits the range.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm high or low in the range, but
And Devon.
I said 85.
Oh yeah, you guys have no faith. Y'all are wrong.
All right, let me plug it in. We got Cresselia, we said 252, 252. Calm. Overheat is doing 93 to 110.
alrighty then.
It is.
I thought it would
Dude,
pretty comfortably, basically.
Yeah.
Yikes! Wow.
All right.
now,
And then
if you remove Terrifier and you add Sun instead, it always heals.
Yeah, it drops for that for sure.
Yeah, sure. I also have a calc then.
You guys want a Cresselia answer? There it is.
There it is. The definitive Cresselia answer. Okay.
until I Terra Water it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but you're all a Terra Fairy. It's all good.
Okay, so that's terrifying. So my calc is team inspired. So we're gonna go with a Basque Legion calc because it's funny. So what it is maxed attack adamant, life orb Basque, using last respects, where 3 of its friends have died in the battle, into just the calc's Amoongus. So it's in the chat.
Oh, this is a real count. I don't try. My strength is not in these. It's like an actual thing that could happen. What never to me because I will never be playing Amoongus or Basque Legion.
The story behind this is I did do this to an Amoongus. I don't think it was like exactly like max HP, but this happened. So a calc of useful knowledge. This one. It's really funny when your Basque Legion gets to press physical, menacing Moonrays Maelstrom. So.
That is what that is.
No adaptability. It is Swift Swim. I'm trying to think of a comparable Pokemon, just because it's got base 112 attack. I know that. I don't know of another Pokemon that has like a base 112 attack that would be clicking a powerful move into Amoongus internally. I can't. I don't know if I have like a relevant calc to compare it to.
I will say every time I play versus Pokemon on ladder, I always think it's going to do less damage than it does. With this move, I know it's going to do a lot of damage with Wave Crash. I'm aware, but then I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm going to live this last respects, and then I don't. And I'm like,
okay, I got to guess.
Okay,
I gotta guess.
Yeah, sure. I got to guess.
Okay, we'll start with Addy. Go ahead.
So my comparable calc is Annihilate because Rage Fist is about the same power. And you can EV your Amoongus to live a Rage Fist, and so I think it's actually going to do like 95.
Okay, 95. Nails, go for it.
I'm going 110 because you got a life orb.
Okay.
I think it's going to do 98.
Okay, so we have a winner, but only a winner. There it is.
All right.
Congratulations.
99 to 117.
Easy money. Yeah.
It's spooky. It's a spooky fish, guys.
That is a lot of damage.
Last respects is a good move.
Mm-hmm. Life Orb is a good item too. Yeah, did not. Yep. I kind of forgot that was going to be a big boost.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yep.
All right, I've got one more old friend fighting new friend calc. I've got Dindozo, everyone's favorite Pokemon, Lex's favorite Pokemon ever, and really? It's his favorite Pokemon ever, and it's let's say he's got 100 HP and 4 defense, right? Because I don't actually know how to beat a Dindozo. It's got a Tatsugiri in its mouth. Not that it really matters because it's facing down a single strike Urshifu. And this dude he's got all the multipliers. He's got a Choice Band. He's got Terra Dark, Adamant, Max Attack. No Chen Pao. Just the Urshifu. Click and Wicked Blow into this Dindozo. How much is it doing?
Max attack adamant to 104.
104.
And 4.
104, right?
And 4.
100 HP,
100
4
HP,
defense.
Is it Terra Dark? Is it Terra Dark?
It is Terra Dark. I'm gonna post it in the chat.
Okay, yeah, I have a guess.
I got a guess.
Same.
All right, let's hear it. Lex, you go first.
It should be doing around 90.
All right. Nails?
I am gonna stick with my guess and also note that I think Lux is probably more right than me. And I'm gonna say that it does 75.
And
Okay, I'm going a little higher. I was going to go with 98.
All right. Only one of you got it right. It was the Dozo player. It was Lex. It does 78.9 to 93.2.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
so-
I calculated on like 4-4, so that makes sense. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It doesn't end
So
as well. Yeah.
not quite killing it, but it's doing a lot. You know, it's almost getting there.
It does enough. It does enough.
Uh,
Oh, yeah. It's underrated.
yeah.
Fake Dozo
So-
spread.
Right.
Is it
You're
a
right.
fake
Yeah,
Dozo
you're-
spread?
You know, against real Dozo spreads, it's probably going to do more damage.
Yeah, they don't usually run much
Right,
HP defense.
Anything, yeah, is
They
underestimated.
usually, I usually don't run that much.
Sure. I don't know. Like I usually calc
I
against
ran
4-4.
4-4
I
in
never really
UIC.
know. That's
I've-
fair. I think you could probably like draw speed and then I don't know. I guess you put attack investment then. I don't know. I'm not a Dozo player. Let's see. But yeah, that is all we had this week. Yeah, Choppa, you just got here in time for the best bit. It's where I plug the YouTube channel and say that if you missed today's episode, if you missed any part of it, you can go watch it 2 days from now on Wednesday on CK49 YouTube channel. So you know where to go. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you have any questions in chat, feel free to sound off. This was a somewhat shorter episode because we only had one tournament to talk about. So we do have some time to last minute questions. But thank you guys for coming by. Do you have anything you want to plug?
Choppa, I just want to plug that we're winning Worlds with Dozo. Just so you know, I'm giving you a heads up now. I kind of created this whole storyline about it. So, yeah.
Worth noting that the two of you guys did cut every internet this year, so that's pretty.
I didn't.
Good,
Oh,
yeah,
I guess
the two of you
yeah.
combined.
Come on, yeah. Yeah, Choppa, we did it. We got each other.
Are you
Thank
saying
for-
that he was unaware that you guys were winning worlds with it? Oblivious to the fact that
I was oblivious to that fact. I was oblivious to that fact until I got on this call. So,
He had his water veil up.
yes.
I'm the water veil Dozo player.
Okay.
I'm allowed to mention that one.
you want to what about Dozo player? People are very unaware of how strong Dozo is.
Great.
Yeah. Well, that's all we got. I've not looked at who we're gonna raid yet, but Devon, did you have something you wanted to plug? Any shoutouts?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to say, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. It's been great. I'm on Teen Spirit VGC, and if you like my funny rain team, I'll probably post a rental code at some point this week. I'm really hoping that people will bring something like this to Worlds, because I think it's good and I think it's cool. So maybe that'll inspire some creativity.
Did you stream your run? I forget.
No, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't bother, honestly. Maybe
Fair
in the
enough.
future.
Yeah.
We get actual,
so with that,
actual plug this time? Can I do
Yeah.
actual plugs instead of my joke? If you wanna, I'm new to VGC. I played TG for a while. My name is Lexar at Lexar1EXAR on Twitter. Shoutouts wise, honestly, I'm gonna shout out the whole VGC community. I have never been so many good players and people that just don't even know me, just random people in the show performance are so nice to me. And I mean, I played DCG for 10 years, and it's astounding. I don't want to say the difference because that's mean, but I just think the VGC community is really welcoming. And then also my entire building group, people that are there. Just keep it put stuff like that. Chupa Neal, Carson, Strider, is Tang, William, Marcus Strider, Jesse. You know who you are. I forget your name off the head. Honestly, like so, like nice of you guys to even keep working with me, even though I had my one performance and like you guys are still like doing work with me and stuff like that, and that's like awesome. And even again, like Choppa again, like super big thanks to you for like even just having enough faith in this guy you were coaching's team to like introduce me to people and like get ready for USA. This is so awesome. It's like I'm on a gap year right now between like looking for work and college, and like this is probably like one of the coolest ways I could have spent it was like actually going out to Pogo One and like getting to play in Worlds immediately. So yeah, this community's sick. I hope I can play in it more next year. Play more sports.
Oh yeah, looking forward to seeing you at more events next year. Japan, it's gonna be hype. Devon, I know you're gonna make it next year. You're gonna start farming some junior travel awards, right?
Right, that's what we're working towards. You know, we're starting with the 2004 anime, and we're working our way up. One day.
All right, and yeah, so thank you all for tuning in again. If you missed any part of this, it's going to be up on YouTube, and I'm not going to send you over to Master Mark, who is streaming some VGC. It looks like I see a Weirder and an Enamorous on my screen. So say hi to him. Let him know where you came from, and yeah, thanks you all for watching.